Have you ever noticed that the more you explain yourself, the less at peace you feel? You try to make others understand your choices, your silence, your path. Yet the more you speak, the more something inside you begins to fade. We live in a world that demands constant proof, constant performance, constant noise. Everyone is talking, sharing, and defending themselves, as if silence is something to be feared. But what if your quiet was never a weakness? What if your silence is your greatest power? There is a strength that grows in stillness, a kind of power that doesn't need to prove itself. The Buddha called it the still mind, the state where clarity lives, where chaos can't reach you. It's not about isolating yourself from the world or cutting off from others. It's about returning inward to that center within you that no argument, no judgment, and no noise can disturb. When you stop explaining, you stop leaking your energy. You stop giving your peace away for the sake of being understood. And in that quiet space, something begins to shift. You start to see what really matters. You begin to feel the calm beneath the surface, the silence beneath the sound. This video isn't about running away from life. It's about coming home. Home to the place inside you where clarity waits patiently to be remembered. So stay with me until the end, because by the time we're done, you'll understand why. When you focus on yourself and stay silent, everything in your life begins to fall into place. Lesson 1. The power of self-focus. Peace doesn't begin when the world finally calms down. It begins the moment you turn your attention inward. So much of our exhaustion comes not from what we do, but from where we place our focus. Every time you chase approval, every time you compare, explain, or defend, a small piece of your energy drifts away. And over time, you forget what your own stillness feels like. When your attention is scattered across 1,000 distractions, social media, noise, expectations, your inner world becomes chaotic. It's like trying to see your reflection in turbulent water. No matter how hard you try, clarity never comes. But when you withdraw your focus from the noise, when you pause and return to yourself, the water begins to settle. The reflection returns. That's the moment you start remembering who you truly are. Buddhist philosophy teaches that peace is not found by controlling the world, but by mastering your awareness within it. Imagine your mind as the sun, radiant, steady, full of power. The storms that pass through the sky are your thoughts, emotions, and distractions. They roar and flash, demanding attention, but they are never you. The storms come and go, yet the sun remains unchanged. You are that sun, constant and luminous beneath the clouds. When you focus on yourself, not from ego, but from awareness, you begin to reclaim that inner radiance. The world outside doesn't have to change for you to feel peace. You only need to stop identifying with every storm that passes by. Because the truth is, peace was never lost, it was only covered by noise. So take a moment, breathe. Feel what it's like to be present in your own energy again. Notice how quiet it feels when you stop chasing everything that isn't you. What if silence isn't emptiness at all? What if it's the beginning of remembering who you are? Lesson 2. Silence as strength. Silence is often misunderstood. We're taught to fill every pause, to respond quickly, to explain ourselves so no one misjudges us. But true silence, the kind born from awareness, not avoidance, is not weakness. It's power mastered. In a world addicted to noise, silence becomes an act of rebellion. It is the quiet confidence of someone who no longer needs to prove their worth. It's not that they have nothing to say, it's that they've learned not everything deserves their voice. Imagine a still lake on a clear morning. Its surface is calm, untouched, and because it is still, it reflects the entire sky with perfect clarity. That is the power of silence. When your mind is still, it reflects truth. When you stop reacting to every ripple, every disturbance, wisdom begins to rise from the depths. Restraint is not suppression, it's refinement. The pause between impulse and action is where mastery lives. Every time you choose to remain calm instead of reactive, every time you pause before speaking, You are building inner strength. You are teaching your mind that peace matters more than the need to be right. In Buddhism, silence is not the absence of thought, it's alignment with clarity. It's the moment you realize that your words carry energy, and that energy can either bring peace or add more noise to the world. So, before you speak, pause and ask yourself, will this bring peace or more noise? Because every moment you choose silence with awareness, you're not withdrawing from life, you're rising above it. You become like that still lake, calm, deep, reflective, and in your stillness, others will begin to see something rare, not weakness, but wisdom. Lesson 3. Detaching from negativity. Most of our suffering doesn't come from what happens to us, it comes from what we hold on to. An insult, a judgment, a memory, a moment that didn't go as we hoped. We replay it over and over, carrying it like a weight that was never meant to be ours. The truth is that pain doesn't stay because of others. It stays because we keep feeding it with our attention. There's an old Buddhist story that says, if someone offers you a gift and you don't accept it, to whom does it belong? The same is true of negativity. When someone throws anger, judgment, or criticism your way, you don't have to take it. You can simply let it fall to the ground, untouched. Detachment is often misunderstood. People think it means becoming cold or emotionless. But real detachment isn't about closing your heart, it's about opening your clarity. It's choosing peace over reaction. It's saying, I see what's happening, but I won't let it live inside me. Think of your mind as the sky, vast, open and untouched. The storms of emotion will come. Thunder will roll. Rain will pour. But no matter how fierce the storm, the sky itself is never damaged. It doesn't fight the clouds. It simply allows them to pass. That's what true detachment feels like. It's not running away from life. It's standing so still within yourself that no one else's storm can move you. It's remembering that your peace is yours to protect, not theirs to approve. So the next time someone's words try to pull you into conflict, pause. Take a breath. Remind yourself, you are the sky. The storm will pass. Let it. Lesson 4. Discipline is divine. We often wait for motivation, that magical burst of energy that will finally make us act. But motivation is like the wind. It comes, it goes, and it can never be relied upon to stay. Discipline, however, is the ground beneath your feet. It's what holds you steady when the wind disappears. True peace isn't built through moments of inspiration or rare surges of willpower. It's built quietly, through structure, through showing up when you don't feel like it, through honoring the promises you make to yourself, even when no one is watching. In Buddhist philosophy, freedom doesn't come from doing whatever you want. It comes from mastering your mind. And mastery is born not from intensity, but from consistency, the kind that doesn't seek recognition, applause, or validation, the kind that grows in silence. Think of a bamboo tree. For years, nothing appears above the ground. No shoots, no leaves, no sign of life. But beneath the surface, something extraordinary is happening. Roots are growing deep, strong and wide, unseen, patient, preparing for the moment to rise. Then, almost overnight, it shoots upward, taller and stronger than the trees around it. That is discipline, invisible roots before visible growth. We live in a world that glorifies quick results and overnight success. But inner growth doesn't work that way. Peace, clarity, and resilience are not built in bursts of effort. They are shaped through devotion, through returning to your practice again and again, no matter how ordinary it feels. Every time you meditate instead of scrolling, breathe instead of reacting, or keep a promise you once made to yourself, you strengthen your inner structure. Each small act of discipline is like watering the roots of your future peace. You might not see the results today, but beneath the surface, transformation is already unfolding. Discipline isn't punishment. It's sacred alignment. It's not about forcing yourself, it's about honoring yourself. Because every time you keep a small promise to yourself, you tell your mind, I am someone I can trust. And that trust becomes the foundation of unshakable peace. When your mind knows you will show up, even when it's uncomfortable, it stops fighting you. It begins to support you. Discipline becomes less about control and more about connection, a gentle return to your highest self. So, if your mind resists, be gentle but firm. Don't chase motivation, build ritual. Don't wait to feel ready, begin anyway. The morning you sit in silence, the day you show up even when no one notices, those are the moments that shape your destiny quietly from within. Ask yourself this: what if discipline isn't the opposite of freedom, but the doorway to it? When your mind is trained, you no longer live at the mercy of impulse or distraction. You become grounded, calm in chaos, steady in storms, and alive in every breath. So today, start small. Keep one promise to yourself, just one. Do it not for the result, but for the relationship you're building with your own mind. Because when you learn to keep showing up in silence, one day, like the bamboo, you will rise tall, unwavering, and full of grace. Lesson 5. Protecting your peace from toxicity. There comes a time in your journey when peace must become your highest priority, even if that means walking away from people you once cared deeply about. Letting go doesn't mean you've stopped loving them. It means you've finally started loving yourself. We often confuse kindness with self-sacrifice. We give and give, hoping our light will change the ones who keep dimming it. But kindness, without boundaries, turns into exhaustion. Compassion without balance becomes self-neglect. You can't heal anyone by allowing them to harm your peace. True kindness must include yourself too. There's a Buddhist saying, when someone offers you poison, you don't have to drink it. Think about that. Some people carry their pain like a cup full of anger, judgment, gossip, or chaos, and they'll offer it to you daily. You don't need to accept it. You can acknowledge their suffering, wish them peace, and still refuse to let their energy become your own. Protecting your peace is not an act of rejection. It's an act of reverence for your time, your energy, and your inner light. You can love someone from afar. You can forgive them and still keep your distance. Boundaries made with love are not walls. They are doors that open only to peace. Imagine your mind as a sacred garden. Every thought, every interaction is either a seed or a weed. Some people will help your garden bloom. They'll water your roots, protect your growth, and celebrate your calm. But others will trample through with chaos and noise. Protecting your peace means deciding who gets to enter that garden and who doesn't. Remember, not everyone who started with you is meant to walk your entire path. Some souls are lessons, not lifetimes. Their purpose was to teach you how to see your worth, how to choose peace over chaos, and how to stop mistaking pain for connection. So, if someone constantly drains your spirit, it's not unkind to let them go, it's wise. It's compassionate. It's spiritual maturity. You can bless their path and continue walking yours, knowing that peace is not something you find after everyone approves of your choices. Peace is what appears the moment you stop betraying yourself to keep the wrong people comfortable. Letting go is not losing love. It's learning how to love more wisely. Distance is not rejection. It's reverence for your own peace, because your energy is sacred, and protecting it is one of the highest forms of self-respect. Lesson 6. Mastering small habits. Real transformation doesn't happen in grand moments of motivation. It happens quietly in the small sacred routines that no one sees. The world celebrates breakthroughs, but true growth lives in repetition. Every day you choose awareness over distraction. Every time you return to your breath, you're shaping the person you are becoming. Think of the ocean. It isn't made in a single wave. It's made from countless tiny drops coming together, patient, steady, unstoppable. Your peace is built the same way. Tiny drops of mindfulness become a vast sea of inner stability. Each choice, each moment of awareness, adds to your ocean of calm. Buddhism teaches that the ordinary moments of our lives, washing a cup, folding clothes, sipping tea are opportunities to practice presence. You don't have to wait for silence on a mountain to find peace. It's available in your morning breath, in the stillness between sips, in the quiet space before a reply. When you bring awareness to the smallest actions, your entire life begins to feel sacred. Most people chase massive change, new plans, new goals, new identities. But the most profound transformation comes from small, consistent habits that anchor your mind in awareness. Lighting a candle before meditation, writing one line in your journal, taking 3 conscious breaths before you speak. These are not small things. They are powerful rituals of self-alignment. When you live this way, discipline turns into devotion. Life stops feeling like a race and starts feeling like a rhythm, a slow, steady heartbeat of peace that guides you through each day. You stop searching for balance because you're already living it, one mindful action at a time. So don't underestimate the power of small steps. One drop may seem meaningless, but millions of drops create oceans. One mindful breath may seem too simple, but repeated daily, it reshapes your entire state of being. Every mindful act is a brick in the temple of your peace. Each moment you honor your awareness, you strengthen your foundation. Keep building it quietly, consistently, lovingly. And soon you'll realize that the life you dreamed of isn't something you chase. It's something you're already creating, one sacred habit at a time. Lesson 7. Mindfulness in chaos. Life will never stop testing your peace. The noise, the tension, the chaos, they're all part of the human experience. But mindfulness isn't about avoiding the storm. It's about learning to stand still within it. The real strength of a calm mind is not that nothing can touch it, it's that nothing can control it. When someone offends you, when plans fall apart, when life feels heavy, your instinct may be to react, to defend, to prove, to push back. But reaction is the fire that keeps suffering alive. Buddhism teaches, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. You can't stop pain from entering your life, but you can choose how deeply it roots itself in your heart. Mindfulness gives you that choice. It creates the sacred pause between what happens and how you respond. That pause, that single breath, is where wisdom lives. It's the moment where chaos loses its power over you. Try this. Before you speak, take one mindful breath. Before you act, take one mindful breath. That simple pause is a gateway back to yourself. It interrupts the storm long enough for you to remember who you are, awareness itself, not the emotion passing through it. Calm is not weakness. Calm is control. It's the quiet knowing that you don't have to meet fire with fire. You can let the flames burn out on their own. The world will always try to pull you into reaction through conflict, opinion, and urgency. But when you learn to pause, you move from being a participant in chaos to being the observer of it. There's immense power in restraint. The one who stays calm isn't disengaged, they're in command. They've learned that silence can speak louder than argument, and stillness can be the strongest response of all. This is what mindfulness truly is, the art of responding with consciousness, rather than reacting from habit. So, the next time life tries to shake your peace, remember, your first reaction isn't your truth. Take that one sacred breath. Feel your awareness beneath the noise, and realize that peace isn't found when the world is quiet. It's found when you no longer let the world disturb the quiet within you. Lesson 8. Self-inquiry. Knowing the inner world. The most sacred journey you will ever take is not across mountains or oceans, it's the journey inward, the path that leads you beyond distraction, beyond judgment, and into the quiet space where your true self resides. We spend so much of our lives looking outward, chasing success, seeking approval, analyzing others. Yet we rarely stop to ask the simplest, most important question: who am I beneath all this noise? This is the beginning of self-inquiry, the practice of turning your gaze inward to truly see yourself. When you sit in silence, your thoughts will begin to appear restless, fast, often chaotic. One moment they're kind, the next they're cruel. They tell stories about who you are, what others think, and what might go wrong. But here's the truth. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who observes them. The mind is like a lens. When it's dirty, clouded by fear, judgment, and attachment, reality becomes distorted. Everything looks unclear, heavy, and confusing. But when you begin to clean that lens through awareness, something incredible happens. You don't have to change the world outside, you simply start to see it as it really is. Peaceful, neutral, free of resistance. Self-inquiry is not about controlling your thoughts. It's about watching them with compassion, not criticism. When anger arises, don't label it as bad. When fear surfaces, don't push it away. Instead, ask gently, what fear hides beneath this reaction? This question is powerful, because beneath every emotional storm lies something smaller, softer, a part of you asking to be seen. When you look at that fear without running from it, it begins to dissolve. Awareness is the light that melts illusion. Avoidance keeps pain alive. Awareness sets it free. This is one of the deepest truths of Buddhism. The more you try to escape what you feel, the more power it gains over you. But when you turn toward your emotions with curiosity and kindness, you reclaim your power. You realize that even the most painful feelings are just passing clouds in the vast sky of your consciousness. If you wish to begin this journey, start small. Spend 5 minutes each day in silence. No distractions, no goals. Just breathe and observe. Watch your thoughts rise and fall like waves. Notice how they try to pull you in with stories, judgments, memories, and each time, gently return to your breath. This is how you begin to separate the you that watches from the you that reacts. Journaling can also become a mirror for the inner world. Write without editing, without trying to sound wise. Ask yourself simple questions. What emotion am I avoiding today? What fear keeps repeating in my life? What belief makes me suffer the most? Don't try to fix the answers, just notice them. Awareness alone begins the healing. In Buddhist philosophy, awakening isn't about becoming something new. It's about remembering what you've always been: pure awareness, untouched by thought or time. The more you observe your mind, the more you realize that peace was never lost. It was just hidden beneath the noise of thinking. Self-inquiry is a lifelong practice. It's not dramatic, and it's not loud. It's quiet, humble, and deeply personal. But over time, it changes everything. You begin to move through the world with clarity instead of confusion, compassion instead of control. You start responding instead of reacting. And most importantly, you begin to feel at home within yourself. Because the real journey was never about finding something outside. It was always about remembering who you already are inside. So, the next time your mind feels heavy with thoughts, don't fight them. Sit quietly. Watch. Listen. Ask softly, what is this really showing me? And in that moment of still awareness, you'll realize you are not the storm. You are the sky that holds it. Lesson 9. Digital detachment. Reclaiming attention. There was a time when silence was part of everyday life. We walked without headphones, waited without scrolling, and rested without the need to be entertained. Stillness wasn't awkward back then, it was natural. But now, the moment life slows down, we reach for our phones. We check notifications we've already seen. We scroll through feeds not out of curiosity, but out of habit. Silence feels strange, almost threatening, as if peace itself has become unfamiliar. The truth is, your peace hasn't disappeared. It's just been buried under noise. We live in an age of endless stimulation. Notifications, pings, opinions, updates, endless content. 1,000 tiny distractions pulling your attention in every direction. The modern mind is constantly consuming, constantly comparing, constantly reacting. And yet, in this hyper-connected world, people have never felt more disconnected, not from others, but from themselves. Every scroll, every click, every piece of information may seem harmless, but each one takes something from you. A small piece of your focus, your stillness, your ability to simply be. Attention is the most valuable thing you own, because wherever your attention goes, your life goes with it. And if your attention is scattered, your peace is too. We like to believe that constant engagement keeps us informed, but in reality, it keeps us restless. The more we fill the silence, the less we can hear our own inner voice. The mind becomes addicted to stimulation, always reaching for the next thing. And when the noise stops, we feel uncomfortable, as though something's missing. But what's missing is not outside of us. It's the quiet presence we've forgotten how to touch. Buddhism teaches that awareness is the root of freedom. Without awareness, we live in reaction, pulled by impulses, emotions, and desires we don't even notice forming. The digital world feeds that unconscious pull. We scroll because we're bored, anxious, or lonely, and we end up feeding those very same emotions. We lose hours in feeds that stimulate but never nourish. So pause and ask yourself, what would you hear if the world went quiet for a while? If the noise faded, what thoughts would rise to the surface? What parts of you have been asking for attention, not the world's attention, but your own? Digital detachment isn't about rejecting technology. It's about reclaiming control of your mind. It's not about escape, it's about restoration. When you disconnect, you don't lose touch with life. You rediscover it. You begin to notice the way sunlight moves across your room, the rhythm of your breath, the small details that constant noise made invisible. You realize that peace was never lost, it was just drowned out. Try a digital fast, not as a punishment, but as a sacred offering to your awareness. Spend 1 hour a day without screens, 1 evening a week without checking messages. Let your mind rest in silence again. At first, the quiet might feel uneasy. Your fingers may reach for the phone out of instinct. But if you breathe through that discomfort, something inside you will begin to settle. Beneath the restlessness, there's relief. Beneath the silence, there's life. When the Buddha taught mindfulness, he wasn't talking about some distant ideal. He was teaching awareness in every moment of daily life. In our time, mindfulness means staying awake in a world that profits from your distraction. Every app, every algorithm, every platform is designed to keep your attention hooked because your awareness has value. But when you pause before reacting, when you breathe before you scroll, when you choose stillness over stimulation, you break the spell. Each moment of awareness is a quiet act of rebellion. When you resist the pull of endless scrolling, you reclaim a piece of your soul. You begin to feel the texture of time again. You move slower, you think clearer, you live deeper. You remember what it feels like to simply exist, not as a consumer, but as a conscious being. Silence is sacred space. It's not empty. It's full of presence. It's where your intuition speaks, where wisdom awakens, where you meet yourself again. The monks of old sought silence in caves and forests, but your silence is closer than that. It's in your own attention. The modern monastery is your mind in airplane mode. The meditation cushion is wherever you choose to pause. The forest is the stillness between your breaths. So today, make silence a part of your rhythm. Begin with something small. 10 minutes of quiet in the morning. A walk without your phone. An evening spent watching the sunset instead of a screen. Let the world go on without you for a while. You'll see it's still there, and so are you. In that space, you'll rediscover something you may have forgotten. Peace doesn't come when the world stops talking. It comes when you stop listening to the noise. It comes when you return your attention to where it always belonged within. Because attention is life. And when you protect your attention, you protect your peace. Lesson 10. Letting go of the outcome. There's a quiet kind of suffering that hides behind even our best intentions, the need to control how life unfolds. We plant seeds and then watch the soil every day, waiting, worrying, wondering if it will ever grow. We pour our hearts into dreams, relationships, and work, but when the results don't appear as quickly as we hope, we begin to doubt. We start asking, did I do enough? Did I fail? But the truth is, Peace doesn't live in results. It lives in presence. Buddhist philosophy teaches the principle of non-attachment to outcome, not as indifference, but as deep trust. It's not about giving up on effort. It's about releasing obsession with what cannot be controlled. Imagine a farmer. He tills the land, plants the seed, waters it with care, and protects it from harm. But after that, his work is done. He can't command the rain. He can't rush the sun. He simply trusts that nature will take its course. That's the essence of surrender, not weakness, but wisdom. The farmer still works hard. He still shows up every day. But his peace doesn't depend on the speed of the harvest. He knows that life's rhythm is not his to control. And in that acceptance, he finds freedom. The same truth applies to us. You can give your best effort, but you can't control how others respond. You can pour love into someone, but you can't make them stay. You can plan every detail, but you can't guarantee the outcome. When your peace depends on what happens next, you give away your power to forces beyond your reach. Letting go of the outcome means coming back to what is within your control, your presence, your actions, your energy. The process is your path. The result is life's gift. And the beauty is, when you stop forcing outcomes, you often create space for something better to unfold, something you couldn't have imagined while clinging to control. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care without clutching. You give without expectation. You act without anxiety. You love without needing guarantees. Because true peace isn't found in the perfection of the future. It's found in the sincerity of the present moment. Think of how exhausting it is to constantly measure your worth through results, likes, recognition, success, timing. The constant chase drains you, leaving you empty even when you achieve what you wanted. But when you begin to focus only on your effort, something shifts inside. You start to feel grounded again. You remember that doing your best is enough. Letting go isn't about losing ambition. It's about releasing attachment. It's saying, I trust the unseen work. Just as a seed grows silently underground long before it sprouts, so too are the results of your efforts taking shape beyond your awareness. Life is always working behind the curtain. You just have to give it time. So take a breath and soften your grip. Stop trying to force every outcome into existence. You are not the rainmaker, but the planter. You are here to show up with intention, to give your best to the soil in front of you, and then to let go. Remember, peace isn't the reward for perfect timing. It's the companion of trust. When you stop clinging to what might be, you make space for what's meant to be. And in that space, something beautiful happens. Clarity returns. So ask yourself now, can I give my all and still let go? Can I trust that even if I can't see the full picture yet, life is unfolding exactly as it should? Because that's where true peace begins, not when everything is certain, but when you finally stop needing it to be. Lesson 11. Solitude as a superpower. We live in a world that fears silence, a world that fills every pause with noise, every empty moment with distraction. We've been taught to equate being alone with being lonely. But solitude and loneliness are not the same. Loneliness is the absence of others. Solitude is the presence of yourself. There's a sacred power that only reveals itself in stillness when the voices fade, the screens go dark, and it's just you, your breath, and your thoughts. It's in those moments that you finally hear what the world's noise has been drowning out your own truth. Think of a seed. Before it ever grows toward the light, it spends time buried in darkness. It doesn't rush. It doesn't question. It trusts that the darkness is not punishment, but preparation. The roots grow unseen, silently forming the strength that will one day support the flower. You too are that seed. Solitude is your soil, the quiet space where your spirit grows deep enough to hold your light. When you are constantly surrounded by others, you begin to forget your own rhythm. You start to mirror their emotions, their opinions, their noise. But when you sit alone, something begins to shift. The fog clears. You remember who you are when no one's watching, when there's nothing to prove, when all that's left is your breath and your being. That is not emptiness. That's presence. Most people run from solitude because it reveals what they've been avoiding. The silence shows you your fears, your regrets, your restlessness. But beneath those layers lies something beautiful: clarity. The kind of clarity that doesn't come from advice or approval, but from awareness. Solitude holds a mirror up to the mind and says, "Here you are now, look, listen, and understand." In Buddhist practice, silence and solitude are not escapes from life. They are returns to it. The monk sitting alone beneath a tree is not isolating, he's aligning. He's turning inward to clear the dust from the mirror of his mind. Because when you can sit peacefully in your own company, you no longer fear being alone. You no longer depend on the world to make you feel whole. Time alone is where strength is born. It's where self-trust grows. It's where you begin to build an inner home that no storm can shake. You stop needing constant validation because you've already met the only person whose approval truly matters: yourself. There's a kind of freedom that comes from solitude, not the loud kind that seeks attention, but the quiet kind that radiates calm, the freedom of no longer performing, the peace of no longer chasing. When you begin to enjoy your own company, you discover that solitude is not isolation, it's intimacy with your soul. So make solitude your friend. Sit in silence a little each day. Walk without your phone. Watch the sky change colors. Feel your own breath rise and fall. These small acts reconnect you to something ancient and alive inside you, the stillness that has always been there, waiting to be remembered. The truth is, you can't hear your soul in a crowd. You can't heal when you're constantly distracted, and you can't grow roots if you're always moving. Solitude is the still ground where all transformation begins. So learn to be alone, not as an escape from others, but as a return to yourself. Because when you can sit quietly in your own presence and feel peace, you have found the truest kind of freedom. Remember this: growth doesn't always happen in the sunlight. Sometimes it happens in the dark. Sometimes it happens when it's just you, your breath, and your stillness. Solitude is not a void to fill, it's a space to become. Bonus lesson: transcending overthinking. The mind is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. It dreams, imagines, creates, yet it also worries, repeats, and replays endlessly. Overthinking is the mind trying to protect us from uncertainty, but in doing so, it often becomes the very source of our suffering. Have you ever noticed how the more you think, the less peace you feel? How your thoughts circle like restless birds, searching for something they can never quite find. In Buddhism, there's a teaching that says, you are not your thoughts, you are the awareness behind them. The thinker and the thought are not the same. Most people live their entire lives trapped inside the stories their mind creates, believing every passing idea as truth. But your thoughts are not facts. They are simply mental weather, clouds passing through the vast sky of your awareness. You are not the cloud. You are the sky. Imagine yourself sitting quietly beside a flowing river. On the surface of that water, leaves drift by, some beautiful and golden, others heavy and dark. Each leaf is a thought. One carries worry, another carries memory, another is filled with doubt. Most of us spend our lives diving into that river, chasing the leaves, trying to hold on to the pleasant ones and push away the painful ones. But what if, instead, you just sat and watched? The river flows, the leaves drift past, and the moment you stop chasing, peace begins to return. This is the heart of transcending overthinking, not silencing the mind, but changing your relationship with it. Freedom doesn't come from controlling your thoughts. It comes from no longer being controlled by them. Thoughts are like visitors, they come and go. But when you attach to them, when you take them personally, they begin to rule your emotions, your actions, your entire sense of self. So when the mind begins to race, Try this simple practice. Take one conscious breath. Feel the air move in and out of your body. Then observe the thought without judgment. Don't push it away. Don't follow it. Just notice it and quietly say to yourself, "Ah, a thought. Not my thought, not the truth, just a thought." That small recognition creates space, the space where awareness lives. In that space, the thought loses its grip and you regain your peace. Over time, as you keep observing your mind this way, something subtle begins to happen. The noise quiets. The grip of anxiety softens. You begin to see thoughts as passing events, not permanent truths. The mind still produces stories, but you no longer get lost in them. You become the watcher, calm, steady, and untouched. The waves continue to rise and fall, but you realize that beneath them, the ocean is always still. Peace doesn't come from thinking more. It comes from finally letting thought rest. When you stop wrestling with the mind, the restlessness fades. When you stop identifying with every fear, doubt, and memory, what's left is pure presence, still, aware, and whole. So tonight, or sometime soon, find a quiet place. Sit in silence. Breathe. Let the thoughts come and go, like leaves on a river. Watch them drift past. Feel the peace beneath them, the peace that was always there, waiting. Because you are not the thoughts you think. You are the awareness that sees them. You are the sky watching the clouds pass. And in that awareness, you are free. Returning home to the self, the quiet revolution. After everything we've explored, silence, self-focus, mindfulness, letting go, awareness, there comes a quiet realization. Peace was never something to chase. It was always something to return to. When you begin to focus inward, when you learn to speak less and listen more, when you stop reacting and start observing, something inside you changes. You begin to move differently, not from impulse, but from intention, not from fear, but from stillness. This is what it means to return home to yourself. The world outside you will always move, people will change, circumstances will shift, noise will rise and fall, but within you, there is a space that remains untouched. It's quiet, steady, and eternal. The Buddha called this the still mind, the state where you stop clinging, stop fighting, stop chasing. In that stillness, you realize that you were never broken, only distracted. True power doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It doesn't need to be seen. True power is quiet. It's the calm presence that remains steady while the world rushes past. True peace isn't temporary relief. It's the consistent rhythm of awareness, the ability to stay grounded even when life feels uncertain. And true wisdom, it doesn't come from noise or endless information. It grows in silence. It grows in observation. It grows in the gentle pauses where understanding finally has room to breathe. So pause for a moment. Take a breath. Let the noise fade, both around you and within you. Ask yourself, who are you when the noise fades? When there's nothing left to perform, to prove, or to pursue, who remains? That is your truest self. That is the home you've been seeking all along. You see, you don't need to be louder to be heard. You only need to be still enough to listen to life, to intuition, to the quiet voice within. The world teaches us to chase, to compete, to speak over each other. But silence has its own language, one that doesn't seek attention, only understanding. When you stop chasing the world finally comes to rest within you. Everything you were running after, peace, clarity, love, meaning, was waiting inside your own stillness all along. So tonight, do nothing. Don't rush to apply these lessons or turn them into goals. Just sit in silence. Feel the breath entering and leaving your body. Feel your heartbeat, slow and steady. Feel the space between thoughts, that small sacred gap where peace lives. You don't have to earn that peace. You only have to remember it. Because silence isn't empty, it's full of answers. It holds every truth you've ever searched for. It's where the noise ends and knowing begins. And so, As you close your eyes and return to your breath, remember this. When you focus on yourself and stay silent, everything doesn't just fall into place, it falls into peace.